Hey everyone, and welcome back to a new video, and thanks for checking out the channel, or if you're returning, thanks for returning to watch a new video today. So in my past couple of videos I have always said that pardon me, that my audio is trash and that I was waiting for a new mic. I did get a new mic, and hopefully at the time of recording this the quality is a bit better. And yeah, so hopefully that helps with any audio issues that I was having. So anyway, as you can see from the title of today, the video I want to make today is going to be all about what advice I would have wanted if I had been starting out now. Things that I wish I knew before going into the whole field of photography. So one of them was that size doesn't matter. So what I mean by that is, when I first started out in photography, I always looked at all the pros and things like that there, and they all used the same thing: big high-end DSLRs with a battery grip or a massive lens, so their entire equipment would just be huge. So when I was going to buy other cameras, I would try and look for the most professional looking one that I could find, even if they were 11, 12 years old. I thought people would take me a bit more seriously if I had big gear and look professional and things like that, but at the end of the day that doesn't actually matter. I've gotten plenty of jobs doing film, doing photography on this camera that I'm recording on now, which is just the D3300. So it really doesn't matter if you have higher end stuff. Obviously higher end things will lead to higher end jobs, things like that there. That's just a sort of given at this point. The second thing, which would be always shoot raw. Even if you don't know how to edit, just always shoot raw. I have so many photos that are all shot in JPEG when I started out that I wish that I could go back and edit now. But a JPEG, you don't get enough detail within the shadows, you don't get enough detail within the highlights, so always shoot raw. And even if you're not going to edit them for 3-4 years, at least you will have them to look back on. And the problem with opening a JPEG is it's destructive. Every time you open a JPEG, do an edit and save it, it's a destructive process, whereas RAW files are non-destructive. I'll probably make a video about that whole thing after. Networking's a massive thing if you really want to get into photography, and the easiest way is honestly through places like Instagram, any sort of social medias that you can reach out to other professionals and just talk to them, and that way you'll be able to network with other creators, other photographers, other videographers, whatever your niche is. So that way when you're sort of trying to get your foot in the door, you can contact them. They might have friends that can help you out, things like that there. They could have last minute jobs that they will then give to you if they see your portfolio, things like that there. Another big thing is, it's more of a technical side, that you will probably need a decent sort of laptop, computer, anything like that there, or as time is advanced now, you know, your phone. But if you really want to get like the best sort of editing experience, always go for things like a good tablet, a good desktop, or a good laptop. And if you're more into video editing side, I would highly recommend that if you want to step into things like color grading, if you want to step into things like advanced editing for videos, your RAM should be at least 16 gigs. I have one at 8 gig and I simply cannot run the software that I want to run on. So I use Adobe Rush, which is a very basic sort of editing software for video. One of the big things is, if you can splash out for it, I would highly recommend trying to buy as lightweight of a tripod as you possibly can. The one that I'm using is completely metal. It weighs a ton and it's just uncomfortable to sort of lug about the place. So I would definitely get a carbon fiber, which is sort of high-end money at this point. I would get anything that's sort of lighter than, you know, a really full metal tripod. So one thing that, if you want to make this into a business, do shoots for free, but once you get that, you can then start charging. Don't be afraid to charge. I'm still doing that. I got my first wedding booked about a week ago, and trying to figure out what to charge has been like one of my biggest fears. I don't know how to do it, but I've sat down and I've done my research and I have came to my number. The way that I work is, if I haven't done that niche before, I will either offer it for free or at like a heavily discounted rate. For example, I done at the beginning of lockdown, well, kind of before that, I stepped into family photography, and my first ever one, I think I charged something like, I think it was £40 for it, which is absolutely nothing. It just about covers my Adobe subscription. So after I started charging that for one or two shoots, I then had a portfolio that I was happy with. And now I can charge a bit more than £40. Same with portraitures or communions. Always start at the lower end, or if you are really confident, you can charge what you want. But in my experience, I have found that they will ask for a portfolio, and the reason I don't charge as much is because I didn't have one of those. So in my mind, I was thinking that, why should they book you if you don't have photos to back up your experience? You can have landscape photos, you can have astrophotography photos, but if you don't have the photo for the job that they're looking for, what's the point? I've always sort of charged very little for the first couple of shoots and then work my way up. Don't be afraid to share your photography with friends and things like that. Even if you're thinking like it's a silly little hobby and whatever, if you have Facebook, if you have an Instagram, set up a page, put all your photos onto it. If you want to build it up for a while, but don't be afraid to show friends on Facebook, friends in real life, things like that. You'll be very surprised by how supportive people can actually be when they figure out that you're trying to be an entrepreneur. So that's one thing I've done. When I did start out, I didn't really share my work, and now, like in my hometown, which is quite small, people do know who I am and they do know my work, things like that, which is really nice at the end of the day to have support of like your local town, things like that there. You could even get jobs from it, which I did do. There was like a reoccurring role that I did fill, and that's all because I shared my work. One big thing as well is, don't expect to blow up overnight. When I also started out, I always thought that I would need to do so many courses and get so many like certificates and things like that there to really stand out against others, but that's not necessarily true. It's the same with like if you went to like acting school and things like that. It's more your talent than anything. If you're getting hired for a job, like a photography job, they're not going to ask you if you have like all these different certificates. More than likely what they're going to ask you for is your portfolio, and that's going to be on things like Instagram, Facebook, Google Drive, wherever you're keeping your photos really, and that's where you're going to showcase your work. At the end of the day, you don't really need any formal qualifications to do the job. Coming from like a tech side of this, backups are just undoubtedly needed, and it's something that never to skim over. If you have an external hard drive, make sure that you're backing that up to somewhere. So if you have an external hard drive, back it up to the cloud, back it up to memory pens, back it up to your computer. If you're going for a hard drive, please put the extra money and go for an SSD instead of a HDD. The reason I say that is because SSDs are sort of newer technology. They're a lot more secure. They're a lot more reliable. With a HDD, you have a disk that spins, and that's what records data to the drive. And if you're moving that around constantly, if you're on the move and you're working, let's say that you're on a bus or a train and you have your hard drive sitting there, you're less likely to get corrupted files from an SSD. So definitely please just go and buy one of those. Anytime that you do a shoot, make sure you back up everything 3, 4, 5 times. You can never have too many backups. The way that I do mine currently is that once I get all of my photos off my SD card, which is as soon as possible, I will make a backup on my computer. I will then back that up to my external hard drives. I will then back that up to a cloud, and I have 3 different clouds that I back up to just in case whatever happens, as well as the Adobe subscription allows you to store stuff on their cloud as well, so that's a terabyte if you're paying the subscription service. Backups are important. Backups are really important. And another sort of tech standpoint is you might see SD cards for really cheap, and you might see them for quite expensive. And by quite expensive, I mean you're maybe £20-30. And if you're thinking to yourself, oh, that's a bit steep, just remember that if you buy a cheap SD card, more than likely 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a corrupted SD card on part of your shoot. If that's a paid shoot and you get a corrupted card, there's very little that you can do to bring those photos back. Take the money and buy a high-end SD card. Thanks everyone for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and a like. Hopefully the audio wasn't too bad now that I have the new microphone, so we will see. And comment below if you've learned something that you didn't think about, or if you are a photographer yourself and you do wish to pass on some knowledge that you wish that you had. Comment it below and share this with anyone that you think it will find it useful. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the little bell notifications so that you don't miss any one of my videos. And I will see you guys all in the next video, so have a great day.